Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another awesome session during this AGM. I sincerely want to thank our president for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, sir, for believing in me and making me a moderator for this session. We'll be talking about peer pressure and societal, excuse me, my screen is going off. We're talking about coping with societal and peer pressure, drug abuse, depression, and cultism. And we have seasoned ladies and a gentleman with us here to digest and dissect this topic. We have Madam Oreva, Henrietta, Ezinne, and Dr. Obaro. So they'll just do a brief introduction of themselves while our guest speaker, Madam Oreva Egbi, takes the floor. Thank you. Hetty, you can go ahead and introduce yourself. Starting from Madam Oreva, Hetty, Ezinne, and Dr. Obaro. Ladies first.
Madam Oreva, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Are we good? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma, we can.
Okay. My name is Oreva from 89 Sets. So they call us dinosaurs, right? Okay. I'm a public speaking consultant, and I'm also the president of Oreva Girl Child Initiative, where we teach teenagers and young adults on sexuality and identity management. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Hetty.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Henrietta Isimeme Ebofuale. I'm from 95 Sets, THSOSA, Lagos. I am a civil engineer and I work with Real High Design.
Thank you. Ezinne.
Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ezinne Okonkwo at 2000 Sets, and I run Dewdrop Cakes in Lagos, and I'm in the Lagos THSOSA chapter.
All right, thank you. Dr. Obaro.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can see me. My name is Dr. Omohefe Micah Obaro, 90 Sets. I work with the Federal Medical Center, Jalingo, in Department of Maternal Medicine, and I work among youths also. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I can't see your picture, Obaro. I can only see your name.
Yes, I don't know what's happening.
Can you put on your video? You know how to do that? But not to worry, why is working on it? Madam Oreva is going to be talking with us on peer pressure. She's going to give us insights on if you talk about pressure, it's not only teenagers that have peer pressures, even adults have peer pressure. So we're just going to buttress on this for about 15 minutes. So Madam Oreva, your time starts now. Thank you.
Oh yeah, so coping with societal pressure and peer pressure, emphasis on drug abuse, depression, and cultism is a whole huge topic, but I'm happy to have great panelists who are going to do justice to this timely topic because a lot is happening. I will quickly start with a story I just looked a few hours ago, and it's a very painful one. A mother was in tears because her 14-year-old son had committed suicide. Why is that? According to her, the boy had failed, her son had failed his SS1 examination. When she described the pain she felt, she called it wicked pain, wicked sight she had seen. It was a very touching, story, and I was in tears. And I'm wondering, how can a 14-year-old boy who does not even know his left from his right find himself in such a situation? Very appalling. But come to think about it, according to statistics in the suicide.org teen and adolescent, it is found that dramatically that every 100 minutes, a teen takes his life. And suicide is the third leading cause of death from young people from ages of 15 to 24. What does that mean? If you put all together, it singularly brings our topic in full focus, that it is peer pressure. How can peer pressure, make a young adult take his life? It's quite crazy. And guess what? About 20% of teens and young adults that take their lives, they have found themselves in one form of depression or the other. That's crazy. So what's going on? Peer pressure put together by research says that is the #1 cause of depression, of course, leading to suicide. So I think it's a topic that we have to look at it critically and help us, especially those in the tertiary institution right now. And besides, everybody talking here, I mean, the last 3 days, it's been one kind of pressure or the other, but they are good pressure, of course, they are negative pressure. So how are we going to deal with this is the topic of discussion. But before I go to talk about some of the ways that we can cope with peer pressure, I just want to read something from a quote. It's quite long, but I guess it just summarizes what I'm just going to be talking about. It says, some people think they can find satisfaction in good food. Some people think they can find satisfaction in fine clothes. Some people think they can find a satisfaction in lively music and sexual pleasure. However, when all of these things, it doesn't bring satisfaction, possibly gratification of the flesh. All right, so they realize happiness is not simply having material needs. It's not necessarily I have good clothes, I have a car, I have my 3 master's degree or a PhD. It's way beyond that. Thus, society has set up a system of rewards that go beyond material goods. And so this includes titles, okay, social recognition, status, and political power, all wrapped up in a package called self-fulfillment. But do you really get that kind of fulfillment? Attracted by these prizes and goaded on by social pressure, what happens? People spend their short, tiring bodies into chasing these goals. And do they achieve it? That's something I like us to talk about much later. Perhaps this gives them the feeling that they have achieved something, but in reality, they have sacrificed their lot in life. How? They can no longer see, they can no longer feel or think, from their heart. It's what it's portrayed. It's what the society portrays to people. That, it's their goal. How do I mean? We see celebrities these days, the way they dress, and we think that is the norm. That is how to dress. And so we find young adults, young teenagers, some of them are sagging. Some of them, the breast has to show, first of all, to show that they are in line, they're in tune. So what am I saying invariably is that when society portrays these people and applauds these people, you see celebrities in the music industries, they are drinking champagne, the girls are dancing and they are shaking their buttocks, here and there. So we think that is the norm, and there's a pressure. And then we check our status in the morning, what happens? Critical comments are there. It puts pressure on us. Of course, the social media with their doom and gloom stories of what has happened. Regina Daniel has done this. She has this apartment. Oh, this one had done this. So before we don't want to really just look at it and like, oh, that's just a story. No, before you know, it influences you. Before you know, you are singing some of their songs. You don't even know, but just the fact that you're coming in contact with these sites, you're coming in contact with, you're hearing, as you keep hearing these things, they have a way of influencing you. And if you're not careful, it puts pressure on you. So before now, especially in school, those days, remember I'm 89 and, an elder. All right. So we will leave school. I was in town. We leave school home at about 6 a.m. and we don't return sometimes till about 6 p.m. When do you have time to interact? It was narrowed. And then weekends, you want to wash your clothes, you want to put yourself ready. Of course, homeworks have bombarded you. So we're quite restricted. What we watched was quite restricted. Our parents, will focus and be sure that what we were watching, what we were talking about were real stuff, guarded with moral values. But what is happening today? This social media is not censored in any way. And so when I see something, especially young adults who have not really come to a point of values, a point of integrity, of references, they are still influenced by this social media, still influenced by society, because society don't care whether you're unhappy or not. Society just wants you to be on top of life all the time. But of course, it can never be so. It's impossible to be on top of life every day and every time of your life. And so when you are sad, you can't just tell somebody you're sad. They're like, why are you sad? They're up. And because there are times, yes, you don't feel too good. There are times you may be on top, But the society said, keep going. Society doesn't give you an excuse whether you fail or not. Society does not give you an excuse whether you have a job or not. Society does not give you excuse for whatever. Rather, it will question your values. And so for those who are building some level of values, integrity, society still will question it. For example, you are doing you're going to school, you know, you are reading and thinking of how you could do well, and your grades are not fantastic. All right, so you find another way, you know, to get past your studies. And so there's exam malpractices. Until you are caught, you are a champion, people are applauding you. When you get a lot of money, society will not question, how did you get this money? The question would be when you are caught and then you are a thief. So society doesn't really put any kind of, how do I call it, restrictions, does not put, you know, a milestone to achievement. You know, be on and about, be excellent, be, you know, be frantic, be proactive. That's what so it's so much pressure. You know, for me to come out here, I have to ensure that my hair is okay, my everything is okay. You know, that's pressure. I mean, why can't I just come with my hair like that? So what? But then I'm really particular. What will people say? Oh, you're coming on a presentation, you should have done this, you should have done that. That's pressure, you know. So yeah, some pressure might be good, some pressure, of course, is negative. And they are direct pressure and, of course, overtly. How do I mean by that? Yeah, we are. I want to believe some of these university students are here. It's very key that we talk to them. Whilst I was in school, in my university days, pressure, there was a party going on, and I wanted to attend the party by all means. And so I went with my friend. I think it was a bachelor's eve or something. And so, of course, party is good, you know, in quote. But I remember still, one particular time I was home, and then some friends came to pick me up to go for a party. My dad was home. It was about 9 p.m. My dad practically locked the gates, and we were looking at our friends up the fence and like telling them that we cannot come. It was quite embarrassing. We were so ashamed because we felt we were university students and we needed to go to a party. So what? I felt my father was old-fashioned and all of that. But guess what? Now I was in school, so nobody could stop me. So because there was no family there, there was no any restriction there. Of course, I went for the party. Is party good? Why not? But I want to tell you what happened to me. I went with my friend to the bachelor's eve, and then we were done. There was a particular guy I was dancing with. You know, he looked very friendly, very mature, and the rest. So we went in different groups. So my friend and I, when we finished from the party, the guy volunteered to take us back to our house, and it was good. Guess what? When we got to our house, she got down out of the car, and I was there. I was in the car. And so what happened? This guy just took off. He was driving with me in the car. My friend was scared. That was an incident indeed. And guess what? He was taking me to his house. And what would I do at that time? Guess what? It was about 3 a.m. My parents were not there. Nobody was there. It was just me and my God, asking God to help me and deliver me from this kind of situation. It was peer pressure. We needed to go for bachelor's eve. If you didn't go at that point, it had to look as if you were old-fashioned, you were not in tune, you were not up there and all of that. So pressure can make you do things, even, you know, questioning your values, questioning your integrity. At some point in time, when I screamed that I was going to jump out of the car, that was how the guy parked. And guess what? I got out about 3 a.m. in Warri. I was trekking to get to my friend's house. That was terrible. So some of us, we've gone through different situations and circumstances, and we are wiser now to be able to tell our younger ones that, look, we need to be careful when it comes to peer pressure. You need to know what you must do per time. You have to be sure that you hold on to your values so tenacity, in a very strong way, so that people do not affect you. Another thing that can help, that can put pressure on peers, on our peer pressure today, is our body. You know, for me, I've always been big. You know, right from school. I remember one particular time they had to call 3 of us, you know, we should come out because we needed extra cloth, you know, to sew our uniform. So when they called the 3 of us in school, all, you know, the different arms of the class, they were just looking at us as we were going and said, oh, these are the 3 big people in school. That could have been that was very embarrassing. But you know what? I'm big. But not everybody is able to take that. Yes, I was big when I was small. Now it's a baby fat and all of that. I'm still big, but I have to find confidence in myself. This is who I am. I cannot allow society to tell me that I must not eat, I must not do this, I must not do that. Before you know, I'm some bone and skinny. If that's how you are, you're comfortable with it, yes, but don't allow society to put pressure on you. And of course, substance abuse, it leads to substance abuse. And then one key thing I must say before I allow some of the panelists to say one or two other things, to help buttress what I've just spoken, it's what I call sexual abuse, because sexual abuse has been something that has, promoted, pressure. When young people are sexually abused, they are unable to communicate what had happened to them. I'll take a quick example of a pageant I was invited to go speak to these girls in camp. When I got there, I was teaching them on sexuality education and sexuality identity management. And one of them told me that she's been raped by 3 boys and she sees them every day. Guess what? She's left life to caution. She's living a risky life. She doesn't care. She's rebellious to the society. So when we see some of our young youths, when they are throwing caution, they don't care. When they are, out there doing things, they are angry at the society, they are rebellious. We need to check them out. What is the matter? What is putting pressure on these youths to make them do what they are doing? There's an underlying factor. Some of them, especially for girls, they go into prostitution. If we check our banking industry today, some of these women, they have such huge targets and they must keep their target, they must meet their target, of course, for promotion. What happens? Some of them, I don't know about the male, how they are able to meet. There's noise in the background. All right, there's noise in the background. Can somebody unmute them? Unmute them rather? Okay, good. So what happens? They find themselves doing some kind of quick stuff to get their promotion. Now it's because the values they are put in place is being questioned. How is it being questioned? They need to make their promotion. They need to get their salary. They need to get commission. So they throw caution. It doesn't matter. Minding, of course, there's HIV, STDs everywhere. So we need to put ourselves together. And guess what? For that first story I shared about the young boy who took his life, it was a sense of failure he felt. He felt he had failed and nothing good can come out again from his life. So these are things we need to rise and check out in our own individual lives and, generally, and see how we can support one another. And so, of course, when you are pressured, you look for outlets, to vent. And so some of them go into drug abuse, some of them go into cultism, of course, some of them are depressed as it were. So I just want to say something that can help us using the ABC relationship. For awareness. I want each and every one of us to know that we must be aware that there are unhealthy and healthy relationship and unhealthy relationship. How do I mean? Relationship that will help you be a better you, relationship that will help promote your good, relationship that will make you to succeed in life. Those are good relationships. Those are healthy relationships. But relationship that will put pressure on you to do things that questions your values, your integrity, your preferences, those are unhealthy relationships and you must do something about it. The B of it, of the ABCs of relationship, is the balance. How are you going to balance your life? All right, so, okay. All right, yeah. So how are you going to balance your life? You see somebody putting pressure on you. Oh, why don't you just take a little drug? Why don't you just, take a drug? Doesn't matter. I was tempted like that. I don't know what the word tempted is. A friend of mine, mature friend of mine, said I could, I should just take a shot. When I looked at it, I'm like, wow, marijuana, geez, because I remember, number one, I'm not an adventurous person. I mean, I had not played to that level. Number two, I remember the neighbor of mine who was on drugs, and he got mad, he got crazy. So I remember that. I'm like, it was very quick for me. I said no, and here he said, oh, you're not adventurous. Oh, you're not, because girls of your age, I mean, you're adventurous. You could do this, you could do that. I'm like, no. I didn't see myself. I needed my brain, to function in life. So things like this can help us to make the right choices. Back to C. That's the ABCs. The C is conscious choices. What are the choices you're going to make? If there's pressure on you to make, that is questioning your value, integrity, then you know that you have to cut it off. I'm going to make a choice. No, this is not going to be part of the people I'm going to be hanging around with. These are not people I'm going to take a pleasure in spending my time or giving them my ideas, because if you're not careful, they'll shut it down for you. Many wonderful girls, many wonderful boys that will have become something tomorrow because of peer pressure. Some of them, they die before they're dead. Some of them, they lose focus, you lose bearing. Some of them skip their classes. They don't go to school anymore. They skip their classes just from one class to two classes. Before you know, a semester has gone, and you know they are failing. And because they have failed, some of them, guess what? First, second, third year of school, they started well. But because they hooked up with people who they had no business, who did not have the same values with them, who did not have the same reference points with them, who did not have the integrity like them, they hooked up with them for whatever reason, to fit in, to belong, you know, to be accepted. That, oh, I'm the in girl, I'm the in boy. If you are not careful, you will lose it completely. So in closing, I want to say this, and most importantly, you need to pray. When you pray and put all of this together, because God wants to hear you, whether you're a Muslim or you're a Christian, just pray and ask for direction, ask for help, and send good friends to you. People that will not put pressure, question your values that, you know, over time, parentally, that, you know, you've been trained and schooled. And then guess what? This is important. You could also help people who are being pressured. You're in a situation and people are pressured. You could stand and say, can I have a word with you? Can we just talk briefly or something to just pull somebody out? For example, you're in a party and someone say, oh, just take this drink, just take this shot. It doesn't matter, take it. And you find out that the person is uncomfortable taking, you know, because this is teenagers, in fact, children, they're in university, you know, they are not grounded in their values. You can help. You can be a bystander there to say, oh, please come. And then bring out the person out of such situation. It will help. All right. And then what do we talk again quickly to fill this thing? You can say no.
I just have a minute.
A minute. You can say
ma'am.
no. You can say no. All goals are worthy of recognition. All successes are worthy of celebration. When you achieve a goal, no matter how small, do your best to recognize that goal. Like Helen Keller would say, she said, successes and happiness, it lies in you. It lies in you, not what the society portrays to you. Thank you very much. I hope I've been able to say a little thing to you all.
Thank you very much, Madam Oreva. Success lies in us. Thank you so much. You gave a story that reminded me. While growing up in DSE, we were allowed to go for parties, especially 9 parties. So when I got to the university, I saw girls hustling to go for 9 parties. It wasn't new to me, and I didn't bother. And some of them came back with a lot of stories. Some died while coming back from parties. Yeah. So if you are well brought up and you have integrity, there are some things you wouldn't do. You'll be amazed. I was at a friend's shop and they have WhatsApp porn groups where married women and married men enter such groups showing their private parts. That's the password to enter. I was shocked. They're like, if you don't know, I say, no, I'll be Mugu, because I don't know such things. I'm not aware of such. So and they're like, they require, I said, I don't do such things. I'm born again, I speak in tongues. It's not about Christianity, but there's some things I'm not used to and I don't want to be used to it. And they are recruiting women and men. And weekends, they will leave their husbands and their wives and they say, we're going out for that, they call it hangouts. They just go and do all sorts. I told them it's occultic and I don't do such. So let's be careful the kind of groups you enter. And there's this WhatsApp group, come and join and all that. So let's be careful. Thank you so much, Madam Oreva, for this insight. We are truly, truly, truly grateful. We'll go to Hetty right now. She'll be talking about social peer pressure, giving us practical examples of social pressures. Henrietta, you have the floor. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. When I got this topic, I just knew that, this one, you see this thing, train up a child the way it should go, and when it's grown, it will not depart from it. Many of us who are even training children, we are all still undergoing training ourselves. We are still undergoing societal peer pressure, social pressures, and all that. You see this validation thing, seeking validation. It didn't start with social media. So growing up, I'm going to just come up with a very short story. Growing up, I'm my mother's only girl, I'm the eldest child, so you know how it is, there's so much expected of you. People just expect so much from you, and then you go to school. So the more you give to one person, the next person is expecting more from you, and then you go to school, you are expected to have good grades, and when you have good grades, you're expected to do more of something, and then somewhere along the line, you lose yourself. So it's just all about seeking validation. I want to be appreciated by my teacher. I want to be appreciated by the principal. I want to be appreciated by the group next to me, by my friends. So in my own case, I got to secondary school, and then my friends were going to write GC. I'm one of those people who try not to break the rules, but everybody's going to write GC anyway. So I went to my mom, and she said, "About your school, they don't write GC." I said, "Everybody's writing GC." Push that, push that, push that. She let me write GC. I made 5 papers or 6, if I can't remember what it was. And then we're all satisfied. Oh, written GC, we've written JAM. We're big girls now, ready for university. And SSC came. So because we had done the GC, now we are thinking, we feel we are the ones who were university worthy. So the SSC, whether Kajagbo was saying anything or not, it didn't really concern us. We were just going there to write what we wanted to do and leave there. We already have our results anyway. So meanwhile, in my GC, at some point, I think I was sick. I didn't write the physics in my GC. So in SSC, I'd forgotten that I'm a pure science student. I got to my SSC, everybody was reading and writing and doing things for their exams. I got angry at Mr. What's his name, the physics lab guy, and I walked out of physics practicals. I'm a science student. I was at least reasonably good, and I walked out of physics practicals, and I got a P in physics. When I got a P in physics, admissions came out to the University of Benin, and I couldn't register because I didn't have my complete results. But then everybody was going to school. Everywhere you go around, they ask, Hetty, you are supposed to be one of those that have entered university now. You're supposed to be. So you are not allowed to think for yourself. Well, when the pressure comes, you really don't think for yourself. You want validation. So I went ahead and I went to my mom again. And I told her, everybody's entering university. How can they say I will not enter? Because of ordinary physics. And then, love for me and all the things, she broke her regular rules and still went to the school, tried to get me in. And then they got to admissions and somebody said, oh, there's a way they can get me in with awaiting results and all that. And I got into mechanical engineering, awaiting results. Somewhere along the line, I think in my second year, my mom came and said, you've not written the GCE. She bought forms and I wrote the GCE. GCE card, GCE result, I didn't bother. I was in school, and when we come home, there was the group of those of you in the university, those of you. So it was a pressure thing. At some point, like I mentioned at the beginning, you actually lose yourself. You don't think for yourself anymore. You try to please society and try to just, oh, this is the time, this is what it is. And then I got into school. Did my 5 years of mechanical engineering in Uniben, and I came out of Uniben. Then there was no GSM, nothing. I went to Lagos to see my aunt because, graduates now, we can't be doing worry things anymore. So I went to Lagos and I was there when the phone rang one early morning at 8 a.m. A friend of mine called, and I was excited and was like, this is not excitement. Go buy Observer. I'm like, me, Observer, what am I doing with Observer? I said, go buy Observer now. And he hung up. And I ran down. My aunt was like, what's wrong with you? Like, I need to go buy Observer. She was like, what's happening? I ran down. I bought the Observer. Oh, right in the middle. That's a memory that has kept me sane for a long time. Right in the middle of the Observer was a list of rusticated students from University of Benin. My name was number 17. And my full name was there. And then at the end of it, in brackets, improper admission proceedings. I almost died. Me, 5 years, engineer, graduated at 22. You know how society is. You have to graduate at a certain age. You have to do this. And then I lost my mind. I packed my bag that afternoon. It was even still morning. And I ran to the park. My aunt was telling me, stay. I came to worry, and I was crying to my mom. And she was like, meanwhile, while I was in university, my mom had a stroke in my year 3. So I had lost that person who was always pushing my head. She was more, was trying to concentrate on her illness. So I ran back to my mom and like, hey, see what happened. She was very calm. And so like, well, it's the choice. You have to bear the consequence. I'm like, what choice? What this? What that? She has to get a lawyer. Everybody's parents are getting a lawyer and they're going to school. And she was like, but you didn't even submit what needs to be done. You didn't even submit what, so just please get me out of this. Anyway, she saw my depression that was building, and then she helped me get a job at Globestar. I got the job, and it was going so well, everything was going so fine, and 2.5 years down the line, I was already in Dewa at the time. Then Dewa was dealing with the SNEPCO Bonga, and they were supposed to assemble at Singapore. So Amek had called me up and said, oh, young lady, we like the way you do your work. We like your commitment to duty. We would like you to go with the project to Singapore for assembly. Lo and behold, my choices came back to bite me. No certificates to register, nothing to happen. Meanwhile, I remember just before then, a week before then, my mom had called me because she used to call me Minister of Works. She said, oh, so Madam Minister of Works, so when they now appoint you as Minister of Works tomorrow, which certificate are you going to present? I looked at her like, this woman has started her trouble again, and I left her. So when that thing came, I cried back home. She was calm again. She looked at me and she said, okay, so what are you going to do? You only have two choices. Continue working, reject that, continue working, and then face your problem in front, or go back to school today. Anyway, I'm my mother's child, so I gathered myself and I called my brother. I said, I'm not writing JAM. My second brother was in Oka at the time, and I said, I hear you people have pre-science. Let's go there. Let me go to pre-science. So going for pre-science, trying to correct my mistake, I went to pre-science in one bush school, me graduate, me everything. Cut off everybody else, went for pre-science, did my 5 years and graduated in civil engineering. When I came out, I saw that so many things had changed, you know, and my mom was, while I was in Oka, my mom had died, so she was no longer there. So I just brought in this short scenario. There are a lot of it. When Madam Oreva was talking about her issue with the friend and the party, I laughed because there were just so many things while I was in university. But I think after leaving Oka, some sanity came into my head. So while we're talking about common social pressures, there's the bullying, there's the sexual activities, there are just so much that can happen. Now, most of this, the origin of most of this is our need to seek validation from society and from our peers and from society. The need to seek validation. I want to be needed. I want to be wanted. I want to be understood. So even when you are being bullied, even when you are being pushed to do the wrong things, you don't even see it. You just want validation. So you are sliding and losing yourself. Low self-esteem is one of the keys. Like Madam Oreva said, you have to first of all be aware that you are suffering from these issues. You are suffering from validation. You are seeking validation. You have low self-esteem. Awareness of these issues will help you pull yourself out of whatever situation it is. It's not something that can be done easily. Like Dr. Sri mentioned yesterday, we all need a mentor. So whether it's your parents, if they are stable, whether it's your place of worship, whether it's your neighbor, whether it's anywhere, there has to be someone who is stable in your life that can give you guidance. That's one thing I have learned over time. So I try to, because this is a very sensitive topic. A lot of us are going through this on a daily basis. We can't talk about it. We can't deal with it. Some of us are struggling to come out on our own. We need mentors. We need a support system. We need our peer group. We need things that people who have been to this, been through these situations that will help us come out of them. Now, there are advantages, like Madam Oreva said, of peer pressure. You know, so with societal pressure, we get to give ourselves pass marks for things we've done, for where we've been to, for the pushes. We are being pushed to do some certain things. Sometimes we just want to be lazy. We just want to sit down. I beg, I don't tire, body don't break. But then with the pressures, like if the communities you live in, like for example, for those of us who live in Lagos, we see the hustle and bustle of everyday life. We see the hustle and bustle of growth. In comparison to some other places, if you live there, you are more laid back. You don't have much drive because of the society you're in as well. So the advantages of the societal pressure as well. But the disadvantages we find out are a lot more. Like I said, you lose yourself totally. You kill yourself, not just physically alone, spiritually, emotionally, morally. You die in these places. And then when you have this, I was in a seminar once where a lady, she's a pastor, she mentioned, she said, when we say family curses, generational curses, sometimes we think generational curses is somebody planting one juju on the ground. It is the insecurities we carry from our childhood, from our growing up, from our lack of morals, lack of self-esteem, that we carry into our children, that they carry into their children, and it just keeps transferring. These are the generational issues we have. Because we did not cure our own issues, we didn't deal with it. We are now training children. The Bible says, train up a child. You are training children who are there that have turned into bullies, that have seen the fact that, oh, mommy and daddy smoke, so I can smoke as well. And then they bully other children to smoke, or it affects them and their life. They make wrong choices because we have taught them to make wrong choices. These are the things that we are passing on from generation to generation that affect our lives. If we don't take responsibility, let me just round up with this. Taking responsibility for our actions, our choices, will help us stabilize ourselves. Minus the fact that we all need mentors. This will help us stabilize ourselves, taking responsibility for our choices. When we don't take responsibility for our choices, we teach our children, everybody after us, not to take responsibility for their choices. We can't complain about everybody else when ourselves are not stable as it is. So for the dangerous behaviors that come out of these lack of self-esteem, validation seeking, these things destroy us and destroy everybody that comes in contact with us and our future generations afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Henrietta. That was an awesome presentation. We're going to move straight to Ezinne. She'll be talking about depression. Ezinne, you have the floor. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, the President, for this opportunity to speak. Well, depression is on the rise. Depression is on the rise. Depression is that feeling of sadness. You can't control it. You just see yourself, falling into a mood, that you can't help. You've lost total interest in everything. You don't feel like eating, you don't feel like doing anything whatsoever. You're just sinking in, that feeling of hopelessness, that feeling of helplessness, you just run into that kind of feeling. This, the society we're in at the moment, everything is, I always use that word, depressed, but I think we have different levels of depression. For someone like me, I would say I run into depression most times when I'm overworked. And I've asked myself this question, why? I see myself like I have so much cakes to bake and I don't even know if I'm going to meet up. And the next, instead of me to go and, instead of me to start working, I just get depressed. Like when I mean get depressed, my mood just changes. And I don't have that, I'm not inspired, or I don't have that morale, to work. That's a different kind of depression, And most times what I do, I would have to either start playing the music to get my mind totally off that feeling and plunge myself back into work, and I will try to focus on, okay, all these cakes are going to go tomorrow, and by tomorrow, everything is going to end. Now, we have different types of depression. You have depression that can be caused from lack of confidence. You see your mates are doing very well. Probably you don't have a job. You go on social media, you go on someone's page, you see this person producing a lot of, there's something I always tell people in my industry. You go on someone's page and you see someone producing a lot of cakes. Don't be deceived. That particular person can be doing just dummy cakes. Nobody probably would have even ordered that cake. But there you are in your house, beating yourself up that this person is working and working and working, and you don't have any job. And the next thing, you start feeling hopeless. The next thing, you start feeling like a failure. You start feeling like a failure. That's where it comes in. What you let into your head, that feeling comes in. So I always say this, don't look at, the face value. Don't look at the face value. Whatever you try to feed into your mind, into your head, try and weigh it again and ask yourself, is this who you really, are? We have a lot of, the first speaker said, we have a lot of celebrities, people that, a lot of young folks look up to, the way they dress, the way they think, the way they do, it has to be like this. I'm a Malian, I'm not a Malian. Malians do not wear this, Malians do not, a lot of stuff. And you start seeing a lot of young people you know, toying that route without having and knowing who they really are. So we have a lot of symptoms of depression. You have feeling of sadness, tearfulness, emptiness, hopelessness, you know, loss of interest in everything. You're angry for no reason whatsoever. You just get angry. You just get irritable. You're irritated with whatever, just for nothing, little or nothing. You know, you start blaming everybody for whatever the country has done to you. Nigeria has failed you. You start blaming somebody that doesn't even have any connection with you. You're pointing out that aggression, you know, on the person. These are symptoms. These are symptoms. These are signs, you know, that somebody is actually, you know, depressed. I would say in all this, we should be sensitive to people around us. We should be sensitive to our friends. We should be sensitive to our family members. We're living in a world where, you know, a lot is going on at the moment. A whole lot is going on at the moment. We should reach out more. We should care more. If you see signs, we should be able to, you know, reach out to friends. We should be able to reach out to families to say, what's the problem? You know, hope you're okay. Hope you're doing fine. I haven't heard from you for a long time. You'll be shocked that person will probably open up and say, look, at this is how I've been feeling. And you probably just talk out the person out of that particular, you know, situation. Also, depression could also be as a result of hormones. You know, we have the depression that is caused after childbirth. You know, women that postnatal, I think postnatal depression, you know, and when they have the kids and come out, you see them for no reason. That child, if the child cries, especially for children that are, you know, they cry too much, you just see the woman lashing out on that child, you know, and probably wanting to, you know, kill the child. I watched a video a while back, a lady that killed her child, I think put the child in a drum or thereabout. I don't know if we saw that video on social media. And that woman was absolutely depressed. And in all that, I knew that from that video, there was her sister, you know, who knew that, okay, this particular lady, because I'm sure when the lady had already been, you know, having these symptoms, has been showing signs. You just see for your own child again, you're just angry, you're shouting. I feel the sister would have probably held her more, or probably taken the child, you know, away from that particular person, you know, so that the person won't, you know, get physical or get harmful or harm the child, you know. So we have those kind of depression that could arise from, you know, hereditary, people that probably their parents had suffered from that and it's hereditary. The medical people would be able to talk more on, you know, that. But basically, I think in our, you know, in our current world, the depression, the highest form of depression will come out of societal pressures. Societal pressures, just like what Hetty said, seeking validation. You seek validation where? Where do you seek validation? You seek validation on social media. Now, everybody wants to look good. Nobody is going to put out their ugly face. Nobody is going to put out their ugly foot. Everybody, before you take a picture, they will go to a fine corner of the house and take a picture and post. Nobody is going to post. I won't even post. I will remove my wig, you know, and post just maybe my cornrows that is not neat. I'm not going to do that. But you are there sitting down and say, oh, this woman has a perfect life 24 hours. It's not true. Absolutely not true. So we need to understand that we do not need to put pressure on ourselves. We should not put pressure on ourselves. We should be sensitive to those around us. We should seek for help. There's absolutely nothing wrong. See, there's nothing wrong in calling someone to say, this is how I feel. I just want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling a bit down. You know, there's nothing wrong. It won't make you weak. It wouldn't make you look stupid. It wouldn't make you would not be judged for that. You know, meet someone that you trust, meet a loved one, or probably you meet a medical practitioner, a doctor, or if you have the faith leaders, probably your pastor, your reverend father, somebody you're comfortable talking with. You know, it could be also as a result of domestic violence, you know, in your home. You probably are passing through not just physical, but you could have verbal violence as well. And it has eaten deep into your head. you know, and you've lost that self-confidence in yourself, and you feel that life is not worth living. You know, there's nothing wrong in reaching out to a loved one, reaching out to someone and saying, this is how I feel. You know, don't suck it in. Don't suck it in. Depression is not just for adults only. You know, you could also find out that most children, teenagers, you know, even younger kids, you know, I find themselves in different levels of depression. You find a child that will say, okay, I don't want to go to school. For different reasons. Have you taken your time to ask the child or study the child, you know, to say, okay, what's going on in this child? Why is this child behaving like this? Or for one reason or the other, the child is very, very stubborn, or doesn't listen, or, you know, is kind of rebellious. I think we need to pause. I know everybody's busy. We need to pause and take a look at our kids. We need to pause, take a look at those around us, because they might be going through one form of depression or the other. Depression is on the increase. Depression is on the rise. In fact, I think sometime last year, the jumping into Third Mainland Bridge was very, very rampant in Lagos. It was very, very rampant. I think for some time now, it's been kind of calm or quiet, you know, but at some point in time last year, we kept on hearing, oh, somebody has made an attempt to jump, or someone has tried to jump into the Third Mainland Bridge or whatever. Let us be kind. Let's be kind with our words. Let's be sensitive to people around us. You know, the way we process things, let me say, the way we process things, or the way we try to understand things, totally different. It differs from people. You know, you could tell somebody, look at you, you just fat anyhow. That can trigger something in that particular person. That can trigger. Meanwhile, in your mind, you're just playing, but really that person has issues with somebody telling him, I'm fat. So only that word alone you've thrown into that person, the person starts to suck, and the next thing, he enters depression, and the person starts to say, oh, I'm ugly, I'm fat, nobody likes me, this, that. You know, a lot of things, you know, goes through the person's head, and the person takes it the other way. So I think we as human beings in this time, we need to be kind with our words. You know, when we go on social media, like someone like me on social media, I'm very, very careful. I'm very careful with the social media, because people they just go behind their phones and just type things that can cause you run into depression, you know. So what do I do? For me, I just block anything that wants to take off my happiness or stuff. I just block, or I remove comments or something. But I try to live a very, very sane life in my head. You know, so I think let's be kind with our words. Let us seek for help. We have the medical practitioners out there, you know, that can help. You talk to your loved ones. Let's also be very, very sensitive to those around us, our kids, our spouses, you know, different frustrations. Trust me, Nigeria is hard. 2020 has been hard. People are dealing with a whole lot of stuff. People are dealing. At some point in time, you know, when the lockdown started, I was okay.
You have a minute. I know you're having fun.
Okay. So anyway, what I'm trying to say, wrap it up, is let's be kind with our words. Let us show love. Let us check up on each other. Depression is on the rise. Depression is on the increase, not just for, you know, young teenagers, but even adults like us. Adults, people way, you know, older than us, they still fall into, you know, different levels of depression. Let's just be kind and let's share love every day. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ezinne. Awesome presentation. Depression is actually real. I usually share some spiritual notes every morning to my family, chapter, and friends. It's called Daily Juice. And that day, the topic was on depression. I usually send him at like 6 a.m. just to inspire people. And someone buzzed me that morning that she was actually depressed. Up to the stage that she wanted to take, what do they call this, sniper. Wow. In short, I've been on that case, and I'm glad she opened up. We might have lost that person. So, well, like you said, let's reach out. You haven't heard from someone, you're in a group, some of us in THSOSA, you're in a group, somebody that is usually active, all of a sudden doesn't talk. What's the problem? What's the matter? I collapsed this year during the lockdown when we're doing going to buy things. I was coming from the supermarket. I don't know what happened to me. I don't know how I got home because my head was full. The doctors will say it's seizure, but to me it's not seizure. Things are happening. I lost my job this year, but because of the whole thing, it's not me to be depressed. I dusted my experiences, and now I'm into bid and tenders. Because if you keep yourself down, you'll never rise. So if you are going through a lot, speak to someone. We don't want to lose anybody. We want everybody to be active. If you have issues, don't be shy. Don't be shy. They say my mouth when it closed, then they smell. Don't be shy. Speak up. If you need help, speak up. Thank you. So we're going straight to Dr. Obaro. He'll be talking about cultism. Dr. Obaro, you have the floor.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. And I want to thank the organizers of this forum for this opportunity. I count it as a great privilege. I've enjoyed the presentation so far, talking about cultism, the causes, the effects, and possible solutions. I know by reason of where we live as per Nigerians and the schools we attended, there's no one that has not come close or seen cultists or activities of cultists around. So the causes, I'm sure, listening to the previous speakers, we've been talking about peer pressure. I think that's the number one thing. Yes, peer pressure, either from, especially when it's more rampant in undergraduates in university setup, but now we know that it's even entering secondary schools. And people get into school and they want to belong to the happening group, and somebody comes to tell them, my guy, if you want to be a part of what's happening, then you have to join us. And the way it is, they paint it as if it's just a social group or something like that, but before you know, it goes deeper than that. Sometime late last year, towards the end of last year, in the space of just, I think within the same week, we had two young men. They're undergraduates. One of them, the parents stay in a town about 3 hours from where I stay. And he was schooling here. And all of a sudden, he joined a group and they went for initiation. What happened? The same group he was running away from where he stays, where his parents stays. When he came, they like traced him, tracked him, trying to pressurize him to join them. They beat him. In fact, he almost died. He passed out and they left him for good. And somebody else brought him to the hospital. The beating was so severe that it affected his kidneys. He had rhabdomyolysis. So peer pressure is the number one thing. Peer pressure from just neighborhood friends, and they get to school, one of them gets into this group and wants every other person around him. In fact, they say if you want to belong, they feel that they have a lot of things to offer. And so before you know, they are swept off their feet. The main thing is peer pressure. The other thing, as I said, is desire to want to belong to the happening group. We've heard of people that they talk about, if you want anything in this campus, in this school, just belong to the right group. You know, they say that they talk about connection, the connection factor in Nigeria as a country. And because of that, people want to get connected by all means and break away from mediocrity and enter the class of the big boys. So those are some of the things that cause it. It boils down primarily to peer pressure. And we know that cultism cuts across a lot of strata, because the same people that were cultists as undergraduates, even when they become lecturers, they are working in different places, they are still there. So you see, as undergraduates, they start telling them that we have people all over, even in the presidency, in the government, in the business world, that can link you up, that can connect you. And they give you examples. Can't you see this person? You think he's just making it just like that. And they give you different reasons and different things. So peer pressure is a major factor that causes people to join cults. Now, let me say this, I haven't mentioned that. Normally, they don't force somebody. but they lure the person to want to come into cultism. They lure the person by, I don't want to use the word bait, but they paint it in a very, very beautiful picture, tell you what you stand to gain. They will not tell you the other side, that you might almost die and all those. They won't tell you. I have a pastor friend, we served together some 20 years back. He also attended University of Benin. He told me about how they went for initiation and they beat them. He almost died. So when he came back, he told himself that, is it worth it that if I had died, what would my parents say? And God helped him. He met somebody that the person had been preaching to him. So when he reasoned within himself, he said, how do I go about it? Because of course, you know that they will put the people under it's like threats. So he had to go and meet the person, and the person encouraged him, and he made up his mind, and that's how he put himself more effort into fellowship and activities of fellowship, and he was able to come out of it. Today he's a pastor, he's doing his own business, and he's doing well. So those are some of the things. Now, the effect of cultism for the individual that is involved, because the effect cuts across everybody that is connected to that individual. Like we say when it comes to things of HIV, we say everybody is either infected or affected. Also, when it comes to cultism, the person is infected, let's permit me to use that word, and then those around him, his family, friends, they are affected. For the person involved, you find that his distraction for his academics, that's one major thing, because they are going for all-night meetings, they are traveling to go and do a hit in another campus, struggling for supremacy, who owns the campus. They are talking about, if you want to prove something, you must show. Somebody that doesn't drink, but because he wants to prove that he's not a Jew man, he starts drinking and start taking hard drugs. I'm talking about the person himself. Start taking hard drugs. Apart from hard drugs, start skipping classes, start doing a lot of things. When I was in school in University of Lagos, College of Medicine, I had neighbors that were cultists. And everybody knew that these boys were cultists. They were not in my class, they were a year younger than, lower than my class. They skip classes. We are going to class, and these boys are sleeping. Femi is sleeping, is the other boys, they are just sleeping. When it comes to football and the others, they are very good. Social activities, but they sleep almost all through the day. So you find that it affects their lectures. There's another one that Harry was also another neighbor on the other side. He, as far as his friends are concerned, he's in school, but he's been rusticated because of cult activities. He just comes and is around in the school, stays there, he will go and come back. You just see him, you think he has traveled home. So it affects them. Their academics, they hardly do well. Of course, you cannot deny the fact that some of them are very, very intelligent. We know that the average person that enters into a university to read either medicine, engineering, law, they are intelligent on the average. So some of them, that their intelligence sees them through to some extent. But generally, out of everything, you find that about 6 to 7, they don't do it. Their grades drop. Somebody has also come out with a first class because of all these cult activities is struggling with a 2-2. And that's the kind of thing. So the effect for that individual is very, very serious. They don't eat well. Those that take a lot of alcohol, like we know, it drives the system. They take hard drugs, and they divert the money that is meant to use to eat. They divert it into all these things. They have dues that they pay and all those things. Some of them tell they will give money, they make a hit. Of course, those are some of the people that go to the roads, and you know they have access to arms. They go to the road and they take what should not be there. They steal, armed robberies. So the effect for the person is much. How about for the parents? The parents are at home struggling, trying to make ends meet, trying to keep the young chap in school, and only to find out later on, like somebody said, rusticated. Some of them are rusticated and published. Some of them get thrown out of school, or they get to spend extra years somebody that the parents is struggling to keep in school, and then at the end, you are spending extra years. Your parents is calculating that my son will soon finish. It's a 4-year course or it's a 5-year course, only to find that when they are thinking you'll soon finish and go for service, you say you had one carryover. It's all this skipping of classes. Of course, we know that attendance is compulsory, 75% for you to qualify to write exams in many, many places. So for the parents, it's extra burden. Even for the parents that are well-to-do, they are looking for, like if it's a parent that has their own outfits, they are looking for the young chap, the young lady to finish and come and contribute the quota to the family business or the final family finances, and it's been delayed. So it's not easy for the parents. How about the fact that they can get killed? Somebody just, and I'm sure we are all familiar with things like that. Somebody is just in the house and they bring the news to the parent that this your child is dead. Of course, normally they try to paint it and cover it and make it look as if it's nothing like that, but it is. I have a friend here. He told me how he was rusticated from Ambrose Ali University, Ekoma. He had to go and, after 200 level, because of cult activities, he had to go and start fresh in Uniben. If not for God, it would have been something else. In fact, when I met him, he could hardly sleep. He told me he doesn't know how to sleep because, you know, they are always thinking that either somebody will come and hit them. So they can't sleep well. So for the parents, there are a lot of effect. For the siblings, like one of the speakers, she's the first child. Your parents will be thinking you will soon be through and let them concentrate on your younger ones, but they're just spending all the money. So the siblings, it also affects them directly or indirectly. The uncles, the aunties, then the society at large. I talk about the fact that most of them are the ones that end up being armed robbers. They go for a hit or all those kind of things. Now, what are the solutions? Because I think I have about 2-3 minutes left. What are the solutions? Everybody has a part to play in this, starting with our young undergraduates that are going to school. Like somebody said, from secondary school, people are into competition, want to outdo one another. We must come to understand one thing. Everybody have their destinies as planned by God, and there's no point for competition. I remember, if I say this, my friends, Austin Okonkwo and the others, they will know. Everybody have their own destined paths to follow in life. There's no room for competition. That's number one. Number two, let these young chaps, with the help of the parents, with the help of people like us around, senior friends, let's make them know that they should be focused. There's nothing they determine in their heart that they will not be able to achieve. There's no room for competition, and be focused. Number three, all this issue of you must know somebody somewhere, you must be connected, is not necessary. Of course, people say that man is God to man. Yes, talking about somebody putting in a soft word for you, yeah, but you see, you can make it. I often tell people that all through school, my 7 years in medical school, I never got to know any lecturer one-on-one. In fact, one of the professors was surprised when we were looking for a place for housemanship that how come I've not been coming since. And it was not necessary. It was not necessary. So you make them know that they can make it on their own. What it takes is diligence, hard work. Of course, as I said, we should give them moral support, draw them close. I work among a lot of youths. I go out of my way to draw them close, counsel them, be a positive example to them as much as possible, encourage them, so that you can help financially once in a while. You give them what you have. You must tell them, like somebody said, all these celebrities is not it. Ben Carson wrote in his book, people that play basketball, people they celebrate them so much, and other sports, they make them look as if they are gods. How about those that didn't do it, but they are still doing well? We should concentrate, we should demystify this thing of everybody wanting to become a celebrity. It should be rather that I want to succeed in God's ordained path for me, not just being a celebrity that everybody will come and clap. And no, that's not the ultimate in life. We have people in this forum that are successful in what they are doing. not necessarily celebrities, because this issue of celebrity, people have like taken it too far. And that's why you see a young chap wants to cut his hair the way this celebrity is cutting the hair, and it doesn't fit him or her. He wants to walk the way they walk, especially when they are performing, it doesn't fit them. So we as senior friends, parents, we should encourage them, we should support them, we should try to make them see the reality that some of those celebrities, they are just what they do before they go on stage. That's not the real them. Some of them are living on drugs, some of them are regretting their lives. I told my son is an undergraduate, 200 level, I said, come, you better know where you are coming from. You better know how it is to keep you in the school you are, so that you don't go there. I also told him, don't compete with anybody. Some people, their parents are ministers. Some people, their parents are very well-to-do business moguls in their own fields, in their own rights. Here we are trying to make sure you get this education. I told him it's not a right. He should not look at it as a right. There are many things I've told him, and initially it was not easy, but with time he's beginning to appreciate the things I'm telling him. So we, as senior friends, we should be there for them, like the last Ezinne said.
Dr. Obaro, you have 10 seconds.
All right, thank you very much. So don't just leave this young chap to themselves. You must, we are there as guardians to guide them. I know the last thing I want to say is direct them to God. Is the ultimate, is the one that can help everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Obaro. We have some questions which I'll be reading, but I just want to say something. While in Abraka, I met one of us. We all know him. Fought by, I think 1,500 meters sports person. I saw him in Abraka wearing black berets. I was like, we were not trained like this in THS. He was roaming Abraka he was the #1 of blackers then. And I told him, this is not how we were trained. Today is a pastor. So, like you said, we all have our destinies. Let's pursue the right paths and be the best that Okoduga will be. Okoduga will see us tomorrow and say, I'm proud of you. So let me take a question from Mr. Austin Okwo. He said, looking at the societal example, we have parents putting pressure on their children to succeed. Where do we draw the line between encouraging the children to succeed and not putting undue pressure? Madam Oreva, can you take this question, please, briefly? Are there? Can you take the question? Okay, Maya, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma, we can hear you.
Line, yeah. I said there must be a line drawn because you see maybe your son or your daughter, not doing well in mathematics, not doing well in physics, not doing well in, probably the sciences. But because you have this notion in your mind that this my son, this my daughter must be a medical doctor, must be a lab scientist, must be some professional engineer or something like that, you put undue pressure on the child. Meanwhile, the child is failing all the time. So of course, poor grace, you are angry. You are, putting extra lessons for your child, to succeed, but the child is not doing. And like the last speaker said, we must allow. I know that of course, if you're a medical arts, okay, that's good. However, people who are in the arts, they're doing equally well. Musicians, they're doing very well, and all sorts of things. Even plumbers, they're doing very well. So importantly, we must draw it, because when you keep putting pressure on that child, number one, the child sees that he's failing or she's failing. It gets that child depressed, and you don't know at what level is the level of depression that child is. Just like Ezinne was saying. At the end of the day, like that boy I had mentioned in my opening speech, killed himself because he saw a sense of failure. He failed his SS1 exams. You must pass, you must do this, you must do that. the level of the child's not necessarily commitment. The child may be committed in solving math, be committed, but he's not just good at it. So we must learn to put, we let the child express himself. Let them do the math, the sciences, and the arts. That's why they allow us, GS1, GS2, from GS3. So what most schools are doing now, they are helping them with a guidance and counseling department. So what happens is that when they check that the child is not doing well in the sciences, they just quickly, during their SS1, move them to the humanities or whatever it is. Allow your child. You can encourage them, that is good, but you must be able to allow them at some point in time. Otherwise, the pressure you put in them will lead them to depression. Accept that this is your child. This is the state of your child. He can't do this, he can't do that. So encourage them. So whatever it is they find pleasure in doing, encourage them, applaud them. A quick story of you have done well, you have done our society so proud. You are the first doctor, in this community. And then he took the mic to appreciate them. He was crying. He said, Dad, I did this for you, but I love to talk. I'm here, doctor. You're crying, what's going on? Yes, Daddy, I don't. So we must allow our children to find their path in destiny. So I think that's basically what I have to say on this. Allow them to find their destiny.
All right, Hetty, I have a question for you. He said, my question, there's a young adult who is seeking affection, just wants to please her parents, especially her dad. The parents on their part think she's an attention seeker. There's this misunderstanding on both parties. The person is asking, how do I advise them?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of us, supposed parents, supposed adults, are all still seeking validation ourselves. We don't even still know, we don't have balance, first of all, in the first place. Because the parents who have balance will, like Oreva said, will try to understand the child. For the child to be seeking validation, there must be a root cause. Something would have happened. It wouldn't just start with the child trying to please the parent. There must be maybe competition, something is going on in the home. And the parents, it's not about advising the child now, it's the parents. They are the controller of the home. I don't know how old this particular child is, but the parents are the controller of the home. They are the ones in charge of that child's upbringing, mental, spiritual, physical growth. So they need to, first of all, understand the child. Why is she seeking validation? For her to be seeking validation at home, she's seeking validation everywhere else. Why is her self-esteem so low? What have they done? Or what is she going through outside? What kind of bullying is happening? Is she trying to, are they telling her, you're not doing so well? And so she tries to catch up. Oh, mommy, see, I've laced my shoe now. Or maybe they told her she was an olodo, she cannot sweep. And then she, oh, come and see, I'm doing this now. So there has to be a root cause for her to want to always seek their attention, to say, see me, see me, see me. Now, sorry, I have to, there's no time I make any of those statements that I don't have to refer to my mom, because there's something my mom will always say. She says, it's not the cloth that makes the person, it's the person that makes the cloth. So whether I'm wearing diamonds, or whether you're wearing diamonds or you're wearing glass, is how you carry it. So most times we don't tell our children these things. We don't tell young people around us these things. So we just tell them, like you say, yes, you fat. In case you slim now, you for wear this one. So the child starts starving herself. I had a friend who, as early as in secondary school, had anorexia because somebody told her she was fat. So these things, they have to first of all seek the root cause. I think the parents should be the ones you should be talking to. Let them seek the root cause of this child's validation seeking. They need to seek the root cause. What are they doing at home? How many kids do they have? What have they done to this child? Is she the, do they have children that are smarter than her? And have they put comparison there in front? Oh, if na A now, she for don't do one like this. If it was B now, she would have excelled in this. So they have to look for the root cause. If they don't deal with the root cause, nothing you do will change that. She will continue that way for a long time.
Okay, I have a very interesting question here. It says, good afternoon, everybody. It's such an honor to see you all once again. My question is, knowing the cause of these problems which were stated, now, how do we go about the information? How do we go about informing them about the consequences? Because growing up, there's this character or way of life instilled in me right from THS. Because most of my friends, classmates are now into Yahoo. Some are into prostitutions, and so on. How do we curb these things to prevent it from rising or getting others affected or making them victims without understanding before they get into it? Thank you. Hetty, can you answer that very briefly so that we can round up?
Yeah, this is what I always say most of the time. When you talk to people about things like this, if you do not make it personal, it never passes the message, because most of the time they're like, you have no clue of what I'm going through. You have no clue what I'm going through, so you don't understand it. So when I get to deal with children like this or people in this position, I always tell them, I say, come, see, let me tell you the story. I had an absentee father, and my mom did everything. And then my mom had a stroke. I was 20. I had 3 younger brothers, and we lived in NRA Junction. So I was exposed to prostitution. I was exposed to robbery. I was exposed to everything that was exposable for my age at the time. I was 20. This is a very impressionable age. And there was no money. There was no money coming in from anywhere. My mom was our sole provider. She was sick. She had a stroke. There was nothing. We're selling her things to go to school. My brother had to stop. So I'm just saying these situations happen. So I can relate to them and tell them, okay, in all of this, why didn't I go into the streets? You are giving all these excuses. I could have gone into the street and prostituted. I could have gone into the street and done Yahoo or whatever it is. But you see, what I have learned in life is that money you do not earn does not give you any kind of pleasure. No matter what you think, oh, now I bought 10 cars, does not give you any value. And I give them examples of people. I have a lot of THS, all these examples I give to them, and I point out A, B, C, and I say, see this person, see how they started, see where they are today. I have a lot of stories to tell them. And I tell them, I say, just take it a day at a time. What do you need now? And most of the time, another thing I always tell people like this is to say, okay, you buy a Mercedes at the age of 17, at the age of 20. What do you want to buy at the age of 50? You picked. You picked. So once you picked, what are you driving for? What are you living for? You live for your growth. You live for your stages in life. Oh, I'm here now. So you are 16, do what 16-year-olds are doing. Enjoy it. Because the adults will become, a lot of us want to go back to 20, no, not me exactly. But a lot of us want to go back to younger age. But these things, you don't have the opportunity to anymore. You have grown, you passed that stage. So enjoy your 16, enjoy your 20, enjoy your 22, enjoy your 30s, because you don't even know what your 40s, 50s, 60s have in store for you. My mother died at 49. She had a stroke at 42. So her life had ended. If she had, so these are the things you need to let them know. You have to bring it home. If you try to give abstract examples, no, you cannot reach these people. You have to bring it home. If you don't bring it home, take it to someone who can bring it home. Do not give abstract examples, and do not judge, because until you are in this person's position, you can never really say what battles they are fighting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to say a big thank you to my guest speaker and our panelists. I'll just hand over the mic to our president to round up this because we are running out of time. The next session should start in about 9 minutes from now. Presido, you have the floor to round up the meeting.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon,
very
sir.
good afternoon, everyone, and happy Sunday once again. Yeah. Thank you very much for the guest speaker and the panelists. You've done a great job. And you initially, this particular section was for the THSOSA members in tertiary institution. But now, the kind of people I'm seeing here attending, even there are people that, I don't know, they are not in tertiary institution, but they are attending. Something just came to my mind that if I had known, I would have told is that please, if it's possible for your wife or your kids to listen to this, let them join. It was just something I regretted when this program started, because it's not only what is being shared today. It's not something that you say is benefiting only members in THS. It goes across everybody in society. So I really appreciate you all, and especially the guest speaker and the panelists. And what interests me more is the true life story they share. And that's any speaker at all, for you to carry your audience along. When you have an authentic story to share, especially a personal one, you drive home your point, because that story, your audience will never forget it, and it makes a real impression in their life. I really appreciate you. And let me say this, when this program was being drawn for the program, 2 slots. I think the first day we started with the unit THSOSA and Today again, we have another slot, 2 slots for unit THSOSA. But when I looked at the statistics for those that unit THSOSA members that have registered, I think as at yesterday when I checked it, there were just 12 members, and I was really upset, and I was putting pressure. Sorry, we mentioned pressure on Toba. I said, Toba, what is happening? We are supposed to be in charge of the unit THSOSA people. How come we are getting this? And I gave them 2 slots. I will not be encouraged for me to give them this kind of 2 slots again in future if they are not, if I am not seeing that kind of active participation in it. And while this program was going on, some of them that I know have been sending the flyer and listening to them, but I don't know. Here we are. Information have been distributed. We are not being, let me put it this way, we are not like saying, if you look at all the speakers that came up, they spoke. We are not looking at it that it's chapter specific. Whatever any person is speaking benefits anybody, even outside THSOSA. So I just want to thank you once again, and I believe we should encourage our young ones. What they've shared is something very, very interesting. And today I'm just looking at the number of participants for Zoom, and we were able to hit 70, the highest for the 3 days so far. I don't know if the number of people that are connected via Facebook, but I'm really, really impressed with this. So thank you very much. Moderator, Madam President, for that first chapter. Thanks for the wonderful role you are doing. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. And thank you, my still siblings, for joining in. I know we all learned something today. I just want to say something. Never let your self-esteem down. I am perfect. Somebody said that they are not perfect. I am perfect, beautifully and wonderfully made. And nobody can pull me down. And please do not join the bandwagon effect. People are using iPhone. You don't have an iPhone does not mean you cannot use any phone. While growing up, if you come to my house with a phone that my father did not buy then, you will explain where you got that phone from. I got my first phone in 2004. I had to explain how I got the phone. So please, I know their parents here. Your children come home with a Benz. Where did you get the money with the Benz? Your daughter comes home with a wig. I don't wear wig. I don't wear gold. You know why? It's not if I cannot afford it. I don't like it. I'm not a flashy person. So just be you and keep being real. No pressure. Because if you pressure yourself, that's when you go and do the prostitution. I don't need to drive a car, a Bentley or whatever. If you are driving a tortoise car, enjoy your tortoise car. So it's been an awesome time with everybody. I'm seeing some of you. I saw Jimmy Osundu. It's nice seeing your face. So thank you all so much. We had the highest attendance today. Olive rocks. My group rocks. Thank you so much, Mr. President. It was nice seeing everybody.